Another day, another story. Dr. Elizabeth Richards was a brilliant geneticist who had always been fascinated by the idea of human cloning. She had spent years working on perfecting the technique, and finally, she had made a breakthrough. Dr. Richards had created a perfect clone of herself, whom she named Ava. Ava was a marvel of science, beautiful, intelligent, and with all of Dr. Richards' memories and experiences. Dr. Richards saw Ava as a daughter and was torn between her love for Ava and her desire to keep her experiment a secret. Meanwhile, Dr. Richards' assistant, Dr. David Lee, became increasingly concerned about the ethics of their experiment. He began to see Ava not as a person, but as a product of their scientific research. As Ava grew up, she fell in love with a young man named Jack. But there was a problem: Jack didn't know that Ava was a clone. He thought she was just like any other person. As Jack and Ava's relationship deepened, Jack began to suspect that something was not quite right with Ava. He started to investigate, and eventually, he discovered the truth. Jack was devastated to learn that Ava was a clone, but he still loved her. He confronted Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee about their creation of Ava and other clones. He was furious that they could create life only to control it. Dr. Richards was taken aback by Jack's anger. She realized that maybe she had been wrong all along, that her obsession with cloning had blinded her to the world around her. Dr. Lee, meanwhile, was torn. He knew that what they did was wrong, but he didn't know how to make it right. As the tension between the group reached its breaking point, Jack made a decision. He and Ava were leaving. They were going to start a new life together, one that didn't involve cloning or secrets. Dr. Richards was devastated. She knew that she had lost everything that was truly important to her. Her obsession with cloning had destroyed her relationships, and she realized that she may never be able to make things right. As Jack and Ava left the lab, they knew that their lives would never be the same. They were leaving behind the world of science and cloning, and they were heading out into the unknown. But their escape would not be so easy. Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee were not willing to let Jack and Ava go without a fight. They knew that their experiment was too valuable to lose. As Jack and Ava drove away, they were pursued by Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee. The chase was tense and dangerous, with Jack and Ava doing their best to stay ahead of their pursuers. Finally, they reached a remote location deep in the woods. Jack and Ava thought they were safe, but they were wrong. Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee had tracked them down. The ensuing confrontation was violent and bloody. Jack and Ava fought for their lives, using all their wits and strength to fend off their attackers. In the end, Jack managed to overpower Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee. They were both unconscious and badly injured. Jack and Ava realized that their lives would never be the same. They had been forced to confront the harsh reality of their situation, and they knew that they could never go back to the way things were before. But they also knew that they had each other. They had love and a determination to make a new life for themselves, one that was free from the shadow of cloning and the people who had created it. The story explores themes of identity, morality, and the consequences of playing God. It challenges the reader to consider the ethical implications of scientific research and the power of the government to control our lives. Overall, the story of Dr. Richards, Ava, and Jack is a thrilling and thought-provoking tale that will leave the audience on the edge of their seats. The tension between the characters is palpable, and the action scenes are heart-pounding. As Jack and Ava begin their new life together, they must navigate the challenges of living in a world where they don't belong. They must face the reality of what Ava is and what that means for their future. Meanwhile, Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee are recovering from their injuries. They know that their experiment has failed, but they are still determined to continue their research. They are convinced that they can make it work, that they can create the perfect clones that they had always envisioned. As Jack and Ava settle into their new life, they find themselves haunted by the memories of their past. They are tormented by the knowledge that Ava is not like other people, that she is something entirely different. But they also know that they love each other, and that they will do whatever it takes to protect their relationship. They will face any challenge and overcome any obstacle to be together. The story reaches its climax when Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee track down Jack and Ava once again. This time, they are more determined than ever to bring them back to the lab. The ensuing battle is epic, with both sides fighting for their lives. Jack and Ava are outnumbered and outgunned, but they refuse to give up. In the end, it is Ava who saves the day. She uses her unique abilities to outsmart Dr. Richards and Dr. Lee, defeating them once and for all. As the dust settles, Jack and Ava realize that they are truly free. They have overcome the greatest challenge of their lives, and they have done it together. The story is a powerful reminder of the importance of love, individuality, and the human spirit. It challenges us to consider the ethical implications of scientific research and the consequences of playing God. In the end, the story of Jack, Ava, Dr. Richards, and Dr. Lee is a gripping and thrilling tale that will leave the audience breathless. It is a story of love, sacrifice, and the triumph of the human spirit in the face of incredible odds.